Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome into the Indiana basketball postgame wrap up. Don't even really know where to start. Well, you know what? This is the HoosierIllustrated.com postgame wrap up. I'm having as bad of actually. Wait, no, I'm not having as bad of a performance as the Hoosiers tonight. I don't know if that's possible, but yeah, Kyler Staley, I'm Drew Rosenberg. Kyler, I'm just gonna throw it to you right away. I don't even know what to say at this point. This was one of the most lackluster, lack of effort, just terrible performances I've seen from Indiana basketball, period.
That was a complete waste of time. Complete waste of time for the Indiana fans, that want to support this team. You want to give them hope. They'll turn this thing around and finish the month of February strong and, maybe build up some wins and get back on the right boat with the NCAA tournament. Indiana had no fight. You know what? I will say this, and I'm probably going to stretch a little bit when I'm trying to search for a positive here, but they obviously dug themselves a major hole right off the bat. I think it was like 2 timeouts that Mike Woodson had used within the first 8 minutes or something like that, and Indiana was down 22. I think it was 22 points, right off the bat. And Wisconsin, I don't even know. I think they hit 12 threes tonight. I don't know how many they took, but Wisconsin was lights out from 3. But I mean, there were times where I did feel like Indiana, to a certain extent, was still competing and still trying to play and get back into the game and stuff. But that's what happens when you dig yourself a hole like that and you give yourself no chance. Robbie Hummel, if anybody obviously that was watching the broadcast, Robbie Hummel made a great point that this can't be a game where Indiana just lets Wisconsin shoot the lights out of the ball. They're going to have to compete. They're going to have to defend, and Indiana just didn't do that. Poor game plan. I don't know what the game plan was. A lot of times I try to figure out what the game plan is that they're doing. I couldn't even figure it out this time. Mm-hmm. So it was bad, man. It was really bad. And it just a performance like this, when you competed your tail off against Purdue at Purdue and you gave yourself a chance to win, even going back to the Maryland game, you gave yourselves chances to win, and then you go in with that streak on the line. It's like Indiana came in and just said, no matter what, we're just going to lose this game. Who cares? The streak is way too big to overcome. But, X's and O's, throw that outside, throw it out the window. There's nothing positive out of this game, really. And it was just embarrassing to watch. And I really wish I hadn't watched it. And I wish I was actually in bed right now. So that's how annoying it is watching bad basketball.
Yeah, I mean, it's your birthday too, which only adds to how just awful this was of a game. And you look at the scoreboard, there's going to be people who, didn't stay up for the game. They're going to come back, watch this, and they're going to be like, oh, Indiana lost by 12. What are you guys talking about? No, this was the biggest, most lopsided 12-point game you could possibly have. Indiana, cut it to 12 in garbage time against Wisconsin's, they're bench guys. Isaac Gard, Greg Gard's son, is in the game. It's one of those that should tell you all you need to know. And truth is, we see the comments, the hire Chris Beard, whether it's Chris Beard or someone else. Woodson, I would be shocked if Mike Woodson is back for another year. I'd be at this point, I wouldn't even be shocked if he's fired before the season ends. If you asked me a week ago, I would have said no chance Mike Woodson's fired before the end of the season. But after a performance like tonight, I didn't think it could get worse than it was against Illinois, and somehow tonight felt worse, even if it might not have actually been worse. It was just, you felt like you kind of had something. You almost beat Purdue on the road, a game you probably should have won. Maryland, another winnable game. You didn't play terribly against a good team, and then you just kind of laid an egg tonight. No effort, lackadaisical, just one of the worst performances I can remember in the Mike Woodson era.
No, yeah, it was really bad. And obviously, I don't want to get fully deep into the Mike Woodson coaching, the hot seat and all that stuff. That's, you can obviously draw your own conclusions on what's going to happen. I think everyone knows what's going to happen this time. That's kind of a podcast episode down the line. Maybe we'll talk about that next week on our podcast, Drew. But no, it certainly doesn't help your cause at all, because it just looked like, honestly, the team despite the kind of the effort to come back and make it a game and kind of settle into it, it just looks like the team gave up on them. Which obviously, if a team at the college level is giving up on your coach, you're pretty much screwed in a lot of ways because you don't want to play for that coach, blah, 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 and stuff. But I don't want to get too deep into it. But I will say this. I do want to give a shout out to Bryson Tucker.
Yeah.
I thought he played phenomenal. His first real minutes in like 4 games or so, had that dislocated finger, and there was a healthy scratch in 1 or 2 of those games. But he came in, showed some really good things. He shot the ball from 3, made a couple of threes. I think it was his only 3rd 3 of the season. So that was promising. He had a couple of good offensive rebounds as well. So strong performance for him. Mackenzie Mbako, I thought, played okay. Probably could have played a little bit better to give Indiana a chance, but played okay. Malik Renew got some things going a little bit, but I mean that starting lineup, no spacing whatsoever, especially when you're going to play a team like Wisconsin that's going to shoot the deep ball and you got to get your big guys out there to guard the perimeter. Doesn't work. But I will say Mike Woodson did start Luke Goody and Trey Galloway over Leal and Malik Renew to start the second half. So that's just something to watch. Maybe Mike Woodson's finally woke up and saw that some changes need to be happening, when it comes to this rotation, the starting lineup. So that's something to monitor next game. But yeah, man, there's nothing really much more I feel like I can say here. No. This is going to be a really crappy wrap-up show, but
crappy wrap-up show for a crappy game.
When you watch really bad basketball over and over and over again, it gets really exhausting for guys like us that talk about Indiana basketball, that write about Indiana basketball. It gets really exhausting to watch or to just talk about this type of basketball. And I'm at a loss for words right now. It's just pathetic. That's all I gotta say.
Yeah, I mean, I couldn't believe before the game Mike Woodson telling Don Fisher, we need to get him over the hump. I mean, I'm sick of that. That is what kind of hump is it that they need to get over?
It's got to be some kind of troll. Mike Woodson got to be trolling at this point because it's just stop saying it. Just stop saying it.
You think he's like so like ahead of everyone else right now in his brain that he's like, you know what, I'm just gonna keep saying it, and like they think I'm serious, but I'm messing with them. It's got to be a troll at this point. He
knows what he's saying, but it's just self-awareness, right? Even he probably is not trolling. Let's just be honest with you. It's just self-awareness, and that's just something that he doesn't have right now. For him personally, he doesn't have answers for this. What's going on right now? He can talk about all he wants about how we gotta get back to work. We gotta figure things out and stuff. I don't know what's going on. He'll give legit answers like that. It's not good enough. You got to make things work, and it starts next game. Michigan could be a bloodbath. They're coming into Assembly Hall. Dusty May's going to be there. It's going to be a weird atmosphere in Bloomington on Saturday. A weird one where it seems like probably the opposing coach is going to get cheered over the home coach, and it's just not going to be. It's not going to be good, man. It could be really bad. It could be really, really bad. But I will say this, Mike Woodson, he's got to change up his lineups. It's got to change the starting unit. I think you got to put Trey Galloway back in there, and you got to get Luke Goody back in there as well, and get Leal or and Renew both come off the bench. But I don't know, Drew. I really just don't have a whole lot more to say.
Yeah, I mean, we're going to have all the coverage of that game on Saturday. So hopefully the Indiana, doesn't ruin the weekend with another performance like this. Super Bowl Sunday, I'd find it hard for them to be able to, ruin a weekend like that with this type of performance. But, I mean, after tonight, I'm at a loss for words. This is the Hoosier Illustrated post-game wrap-up show. We're going to have a ton of more content on this YouTube. In Touch with Indiana Sports Monday, Wednesday, Friday with John Alden. We have the Talking About the Hoosiers podcast with me and Kyler each week, and a ton more content. I know we had a really good story from our intern Dylan Traeger on Fernando Mendoza. For those who haven't read that, go check that out on the HoosierIllustrated.com website. We have that, bunch of recruiting stuff, everything you could need Indiana sports. We got you covered at HoosierIllustrated.com. Thank you for listening to the HoosierIllustrated.com post-game wrap-up show. We'll be back.